And it's another fabulous day in Wellington Wells. The sun is up, and the weather is overcast and only slightly rainy, with occasional patches of lovely sunshine. Wakey, wakey, everyone. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, dear friends. Good morning to you. Well, I hope you all had a lovely night's sleep with lovely dreams. It's shaping up to be a wonderful morning, and I think I can promise you that it's just going to get better all through the day. We all forget things from time to time, so don't forget the most important thing. Is it your tea? Is it your muesli? Is it bacon and eggs? Is it toast? Did you forget to butter your toast? No, don't be silly. It's your daily joy. Never forget to take your joy, and I guarantee your day will go swimmingly. So, let's take a look at today's schedule. What's going on in the village of Hamlin? Well, chatting and greeting and smiling and laughing, of course, and breakfast, lunch and dinner, and work. But at 3, I hope you'll all take a quick break for our daily recreational activity. Today we will all gather round the telly for a rousing round of Simon Says. Well, I won't be gathering round the telly. I'll be in the telly. Just like every day, I'll be playing it with you. And then there'll be cake and prizes for all winners, and everyone's a winner, and everyone will be there. So don't miss it, or you're a rotten egg. But seriously, unless you have an awfully good reason, such as 2 broken legs, do be a sport at 3 o'clock, won't you? We love your company. And now, the hot new song from our favorite band. See you soon. Every now and then, you might see someone who seems to be sleeping on the path or even in the middle of the road. Now, we all know that the middle of the road is not the most comfortable place to sleep, and it's rather inconvenient for the rest of us. We might trip on them. So, what's going on? Well, the first thing to find out is if they're sleeping or if they're just lying there. Are their eyes open? If you shake them, do they make sounds? Let's suppose their eyes are open and they seem responsive to you. There's a possibility that they're feeling too sad to get up. In that case, you're dealing with a downer. And we all know what to do with a downer, don't we? Offer them joy. If they won't take it, round up a few people near you and make sure they take it. If their eyes are closed, but they seem responsive, then they may be sick. It's probably best to prop them up in a building and let a doctor know. You don't want to spend too much time with a sick person. You might get sick too. And doctors know just what to do with sick people, after all, and you don't. But what to do if they don't respond? It's possible that they've passed on. Now, there's no need for you to deal with a dead body on the street. The authorities are fully capable of dealing with any deceased citizens and will properly dispose of their remains. And what you should definitely not do is stand there gawping. You don't want to draw a crowd, and it's not healthy to stare at a dead body. It might bring you down. So just leave the body there and move on. And if you see a lot of people walking past someone in the middle of the street, well, you can safely trust that they've already realized there's nothing further they can do for that person. Just pretend that the person in the street is not there. And sooner or later they won't be. Take it from me, Uncle Jack. What's done is done, and it's best if we all move on. You'll be glad you did. And now it's time for I Hear You, the part of our show where Jack Worthing, that's me, answers your letters and questions about our life in Wellington Wells. And my first letter is from Mrs. Emily Cluley of Falkland Road. Dear Uncle Jack, I adore your show and thank you for answering my question. I have a big Victorian bed that my husband inherited from his grandmum, but most nights he crawls off to sleep in the small bedroom in the small bed we have there. He promises that it's not because I snore, but he won't say why he does, and I'm not sure he even knows. He seems a little sad. What should I do? Dear Emily. May I call you Emily? Your letter is quite touching. You know the answer, don't you? Yes. You see, if he seems a little sad, there's only one possible answer. He's off his joy of it, isn't he? Yes. You must encourage him to take his pills, even if he seems a bit defiant. Take him to a doctor. There's no sense in sleeping in a rickety little bed in a small room when you can sleep in a proper English bed in a proper master bedroom. And quite frankly, even if you did snore, if he's taking his joy, then he should sleep soundly regardless. Just make sure he falls asleep before you do, and you both should be fine. Thank you for writing, Emily, and do keep me posted about your progress. Well, that's a bit of a dreary letter, wasn't it? I'm sorry. Forget I read it, will you? Let's take a look at another one, shall we? This one is from Mrs. Purdy Robbins Handley of Oldfield Park. Dear Uncle Jack, my husband won't take off his happy face at home. He won't even take it off in bed. He's that healthy. He says he has nightmares if he takes it off, but it's a little creepy in it. She actually wrote in it. And she says, I mean, he could be anyone. Well, Purdy, are you sure he actually is your husband? Well, you can't be too careful these days, can you? No, but seriously, Purdy, we do what it takes to stay happy, don't we? And the happy mask is scientifically sculpted to keep you happy. You see, when your facial muscles are shaped in a smile, well, you can't help feeling happy. Now, normally, I would suggest you take more joy. But some people do have a slight intolerance to joy. Now, if your husband is one of these people, he may just be doing what he needs in order to keep himself up. Certainly, if he's having nightmares without his happy face, well, why on earth should he sleep without it, when he can sleep with it and not have nightmares? So, come on, have a little conjugal consideration and appreciate his good qualities. Assuming he is, after all, not an imposter. Thank you for writing, Purdy. This one is from Poppy Findlay of Twerton Manor. Dear Uncle Jack, I have a lovely row of tulips in front of my house. I should say, I used to have, because they're half gone, and I found a great big pile of tulip tops in the rubbish. Has some animal come and eaten half my tulip bulbs? Is it a badger? How can I catch it and eat it? Well, Poppy, I'm sorry to tell you it's extremely unlikely that you have a badger, given that the tulip tops were placed in the rubbish. I think that you might actually be dealing with a hungry human. Did you know that you can eat tulip bulbs? Yes. Actually, there's a fabulous and hilarious story from the Dutch tulip mania of the 1600s. See, there was this sailor who visited a friend of his, and he saw an onion on his table, and he ate it. Now, it turned out to be a rare tulip bulb worth hundreds of guineas. And he ate it. Can you imagine the kerfuffle that he heard? Well, I hope he enjoyed it. Actually, there's no word what happened to the sailor, but I bet he took the next ship out. Hope he wasn't hanged. Yes. Anyway, do you by chance happen to live near the Garden District? Sometimes the unfortunate souls who live near there come into the village and, well, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was them that ate your tulip bulbs. But I doubt there's anything you can do about it, except watch your remaining flowers and call the police if you see anyone near them. In the meantime, if you could eat tulip bulbs, you could probably eat the tops too with a bit of cooking. Well, it couldn't hurt anyway, eh? Well, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Tune in again next time, when I hope you'll join us and we'll answer all your questions about life in Wellington Wells. I'll see you soon. Blah, 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 blah. And here's one for you that always cracks us up. Question: how can you tell a German from a pickle? Answer: you can't. You can't tell a German anything. Very good, Winston Smith. Thank you for that. You can't tell a German anything. And this one here is from Cyril Price of Wexley Crescent. Cyril Price. My grandfather was a crack shot. Why, he shot 5 Germans, and that was only last year. Yes, I mean, you can never be too careful, can you? That's from Mr. Cyril Price of Wexley Crescent. Thank you, Cyril. It's very funny. Now, what do we have now? This is from Mr. Michael Tunbridge of Upper Stokely Road. Question. What did the German say as he pushed his brother off a cliff? Answer. Look, Mama, no hands! I love it. No hands! It's very good indeed. Those Germans. This one here is from our faithful contributor, yes, Mr. Persky Blatyang. What have you got for us today, Mr. Persky Blatyang? Question. What do you call an angry German? Answer. A sauerkraut. Hang on a minute. I don't get it. Joke? Of course it is. I don't understand. Is this a joke? Why would you call it a sauerkraut? Is this some kind of English bird play? Mr. Persky Blatyang, very good. Mr. Persky Blatyang, as I said, of Duke of Leicester Street. And this is from... This is Helen Corcoran of Orange Circle. What's the best way to start a German joke? Answer, by looking over your shoulder. Yes, that's very good, looking over your shoulder. It's funny and it's also very sound advice, eh? Here we have one from Mrs. Millie Dench, King's Head in Hamlet. Question. Question. What did the Germans say to the English clock that went tick, tick, tick? Answer. We have ways of making you talk. We have ways of making you talk. Isn't that good? I love it. Very good indeed. Well, I don't think we're going to be able to top that one. If you do hear a good joke, don't hesitate to drop us a note marked Humour Hour at our studio, 2 Marlborough House, in the centre of Wellington Wells. And I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Tune in again next time for the best in humour. See you soon. Well, it's getting late, isn't it? And it's time for all good citizens to hop into bed for the night. Would you like me to read you a bedtime story? Of course you would. I haven't finished the story of Hansel and Gretel. Well, snuggle up by your telly or radio, and I'll tell you how it ends. When we left Hansel and Gretel, their son had just abandoned them in the woods for the second time. But Hansel and Gretel had cleverly left a trail of breadcrumbs for them to find their way back. But it was a very hard winter, and starving birds had already pecked up all of the breadcrumbs. Snow began to fall, which covered up anything the birds had left. Hansel and Gretel could not find their way home. Instead, they only wandered deeper into the woods. After 3 days of trudging in the snow without anything to eat, they were on the verge of dying of exposure when they came upon a small house. A white bird stood upon the roof in spite of the snow, and now and then pecked at it. And so they realized that the entire house was made out of gingerbread, and the windows were made out of clear sugar. They were starving, of course, so Hansel helped himself to a chunk of the eaves, while Gretel broke off some of the window frame, which was made of frosting. Then a voice came from inside. "Nibble, nibble, little mouse. Who's nibbling at my house?" They answered, "It's only the wind which nibbles away at all things." But then Gretel poked her finger through the window in order to break off a piece of the clear sugar, and a witch suddenly came out of the house. Now, you see, they could tell she was a witch because she was beautiful and young, but she moved carefully, like someone who had once been old. Now, they expected her to be angry, but she was kind, or so she seemed.
"You poor dears," she said, "come into my house and sit by the fire, and you can have all the gingerbread and cake you like."
And they ate gingerbread and cake and pancakes, and soon they fell asleep, for they were exhausted. But the witch... but the witch was only pretending to be kind to Hansel and Gretel. Really, she intended to cook and eat them. In fact, she had made the gingerbread house in order to lure someone to eat. For witches believe, I am told, that if you eat someone, you get their power. Hansel woke up in a cell made not of sugar, but iron bars and oak beams. And cry as he might, no help came to him. And the witch woke Gretel, saying,
"Get up, cook a nice meal for your husband, for he's to be fattened up."
So Gretel cooked up an omelette full of cheese and pancakes and biscuits. Biscuits for breakfast? Well, it might have been wonderful if it wasn't so evil. And the witch watched Hansel eat, planning how to cook him up. But then Gretel hit her hard as she could in the head with the firewood axe, and the witch never looked at anything again. Some say Gretel did something cleverer to the witch, like tricking her into the oven. But it doesn't pay to be too clever, you know. Gretel let her husband out of his cell, and the two of them rejoiced and ate as much of the house as they could stomach. And as they munched and crunched the house, they discovered there were pearls and precious stones hidden in the gingerbread. Hansel filled his pockets, and Gretel filled her apron. By now, the sun had come out, and Hansel and Gretel were able to work out which way their home was. So they walked home, excited to tell their son all about the pearls and rubies and sapphires they'd found in the house. The woodcutter's wife answered their door. The woodcutter's wife... Here it comes. The woodcutter's wife answered the door, and, well, Gretel quickly cut her down with an axe. Good old Gretel. And her son quickly forgave her, for blood is thicker than water. And the moral of the story is, if you want someone dead, do it yourself. Well, no, that's not actually the moral of the story. This story doesn't have a moral. Good stories never do. Well, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Tune in tomorrow evening, and I'll tell you the rest of the story, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It's a lovely story, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the rest of it. For now, this is Jack Worthing saying good night all,